Morning, YouTube. Happy sunrise. As I'm getting rolling this morning, I wanted to take a minute and share a story. Something I saw yesterday while I was running through the mountain ranges east of Seattle. A truck was on the right shoulder. Apparently he cooked his brakes pretty badly because he thought it was a good idea to take his fire extinguisher out to hose down his brakes with them. Which, on the one hand, that logic to me makes a certain amount of sense, but overall doesn't make any sense when I really think about it. Now, this is me. Now, I will grant, because I've still only got a little over 3 years experience as a driver, as a trucker of any capacity. So there's still a lot I have to learn. I fully acknowledge that. I'm not about to say I'm some wise guru of the trucking industry, because I'm not. I know enough to be dangerous and smart about it. But I don't know everything. But it doesn't make any sense to me to hose down hot brakes with CO2. Makes no sense to me whatsoever. Now, water, I could see being intelligent. Now, again, this is my current logic. But CO2, really? I mean, if your brakes are hot and they're smoking, I'm not so sure that a little fire extinguisher is going to be enough to cool them down and keep them from combusting. Really not. What I do think would be the smart move in that situation is just leave the brakes unset if you can. Get to a flat spot where you can chalk your tires. Just let your brakes be unset, let them cool down naturally without being in contact with the wheels if they're with the discs if they're disc brakes, or with the hubs and wheels if they are drum brakes. Just let them air out, let them cool down natural, and then get back to it. Or you can do the smart thing in the first place and not ride your brakes down a grade, and instead use your handy dandy Jake brake like you're supposed to. I mean, I just came off a 42,000 pound load to Port Angeles, Washington. A lot of grades I was on. Yeah, there was one stretch that I will admit my brakes got hot enough down a couple of grades that when I came to a slow zone, I could smell them. So I was like, all right. Didn't have the Jake in the right setting, didn't use them enough, didn't pulse my brakes with enough frequency to keep them from smoking up. Well, from cooking up at least a little bit. So, all right, cooked them a little bit, but I never saw smoke coming from any of my axles at all. So I'm going to say I did it okay, at least did it right enough that we can forgive the smell of burning brakes. But this guy, I felt bad for him because, he's on the side of the road and his brakes are cooked. But at least he's not in a runaway truck situation where he's basically boned. So good for him, I suppose. But the thing that I see is that apparently this has been a routine enough situation, in theory, that a lot of guys think it's the way to go. Now, granted, I'll grant you, maybe it is. I don't think so, just because I don't think CO2 has enough cooling properties as a fire extinguisher and fire retardant. CO2, as I understand it, in a fire extinguisher is intended to deprive a combustible material or a combusting situation, a fiery situation, with the oxygen that it needs to fuel itself and continue to combust. That's my understanding of how CO2 works in a fire extinguisher. I like to think I'm correct. I'm not so sure I'm 100% after a while he got himself down the road and he was fine, but still. Jake brake is there for a reason. Just like sunglasses were made to take care of the eastern sunrise. Anyway, friends, that's all for now. Thanks for watching. I'll see you down the road.